another episode of What's in Karen's Fridge. Now, generally I like to focus on meals, but today I think, being that we're in the midst of a coronavirus epidemic and we're going to have lots of kids at home wanting to make something a bit different, let's try and make some brownie biscuit bites. Well, they're actually just little biscuits with two different types of fillings, which I'm going to show you later on. But first, you've got to get everything ready before you start. So, there's quite a bit of chocolate in these. I'm using these choc melts. The recipe says dark chocolate, but because I'm making these for kids and it's going to have a very rich cocoa, I'm using just chocolate melts. They're just milk chocolate. So you need to have your 40 grams of butter, which is about that much. It's just more than an ounce. Okay, you need to chop that up into pieces. Pop it in a bowl. Now I'm going to use the microwave. If you don't have a microwave, you can use a glass bowl over a simmering pot of water. But you must make sure that the pot doesn't touch the water. Okay, so into here I'm going to put my chocolate chips. So you need to get your scales ready. So make sure before you start that your scales say 0. Now you need 250 grams of chocolate. So as you can see, it's quite a lot. Very chocolatey and very rich. These are a sometimes treat. Okay, we're up to 246. Okay, 247. And that will do. Okay, so pop your chocolate in there. Now you need to do it in increments of about 30 seconds in the microwave. Try not to eat the ingredients. So I'm going to start that on about 40 seconds to get it started and then bring it down. Now, while that's happening, get everything else ready. Into a bowl, separate to the chocolate, you're going to get ready your whisked eggs. So you must have somewhere to put your eggs, and you must have somewhere to put your shells, otherwise you end up in a big mess. So this is a good size bowl to whisk eggs in because it's got high sides, and you can either whisk with a fork or with a whisk itself. This is a whisk. Okay, so 2 eggs going in. Don't worry if you drop some shell in. It's much better to hold your egg over the bowl in case it spills, but you can always pick out the shell. 2 eggs. Now, if a recipe says lightly whisked, it means that it's not too airy. You're not trying to make a meringue, which you can't do anyway with full eggs, but you're just whisking it together. So back and forth for whisking. Side to side, not around and around, side to side is better. Now you're bringing air in and you're mixing together the whites and the yolks. Okay, so that's a light whisking. Going to go back to my chocolate. Meanwhile, I forgot to tell you the oven is on. I like to cook these about 170 degrees. So your oven needs to be on fan bake if you've got a fan oven. So you can see that the butter is melting and it starts to make the chocolate melt as well. Chocolate melts have a higher proportion of oil, so they will melt quite easily. Plus they're already chopped into small pieces. If you use a block of chocolate, you'll need to crack it up quite small. So you can see I'm going to give that 30 seconds. Another burst. I'm getting my dry ingredients ready. So I've got some cocoa here. As you can see, the cocoa has got lots of lumps. So I'm going to put the cocoa through a sieve, okay, with my 1/4 cup of flour. So it's not much flour in this recipe. You don't need to sift your sugar or your salt. Okay, so pushing it through, you can just use a spoon, push it through, around and round. You do need a fine sieve or a sifter. Get out all those lumps. This is a really rich cocoa powder, which will make the cookies come out quite rich. That's why I didn't use dark chocolate. Okay, so that's that. Got a pinch of salt. Now when it says a pinch of salt, okay, that's heaps. Much actually. Let's put a bit of that on. Chocolate and salt go really well together. Teaspoon of vanilla. Now, my chocolate is melted here. What we need to do is to make sure now that it's warm, when we add our eggs together with the chocolate, that it doesn't start to cook our eggs. So we're going to have to work very quickly. Here is our vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla, which I've guesstimated. I like a bit more vanilla. Okay, pop it in there. Last thing is baking powder into my dry ingredients. So half a teaspoon. Okay, so we're going to start putting it all together now. So start mixing those together. And we're going to whisk in, the last thing will be the eggs. The chocolate and butter are going in. Pop in our 2 whisked eggs. Vanilla is in. Now we start getting this quickly together. So you really need to have all your things measured out before you start putting it together. Make sure that you wipe around the sides. Oh, I forgot the sugar. I was thinking, wow, that's a bit sloppy. The sugar should really go in at the stage of your dry ingredients. So this is really sometimes rather than an everyday recipe. Now we're going to get those onto the tray. Now they do spread. So what you need to make sure, so that's properly mixed together with no bits of flour hiding. Hopefully no crunchy bits of eggshell. So, over to the tray. Now, you have your trays lined, ready to go. The oven's heated up. This is an ice cream scoop. It's a small ice cream scoop. It's really handy for things that are messy. It's also good for knowing how much to put on. So I'm going to use this. If you don't have an ice cream scoop, that's fine. Just use 2 spoons. 1 spoon to get it out, 1 spoon to push it onto the tray. So get it ready, turn it over and release. Okay, that's plenty. So now I know how much each one's going to be. You can see how spready it is already. Hopefully I haven't got chocolate on my teeth. We are going to pop these into the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. Now you can see that I've spaced them out well. Each biscuit needs to have a partner because they're going to be sandwiched together. So you need one out in the middle and 1 tray underneath. Put your timer on for about 12 and then check after 12. When it says 12 to 15, always cook for the minimum and then check. You want them to be just set and then you cool them on the tray. We'll come back in a minute to see the filling. Now it's time to make your filling. My whole kitchen smells like a beautiful smell of chocolate cooking. And I'm going to get my filling ready. You can't put the filling in the biscuits until the biscuits are nice and cool, otherwise your filling will melt everywhere. So I've used this cream cheese because it's what I found at Aldi. You don't need to measure your cream cheese. It's 250 grams, and that's usually what cream cheese comes in, 250 grams. So you need to soften it, just leave it out of the packet for about half an hour to an hour to get it nice and soft. You need to add in 20 grams of softened butter and 1/3 of a cup of caster sugar. So we're going to mash that together. You really need a big bowl, 2 small bowls if you're making 2 fillings. So first we're going to make the generic filling, which is the cream cheesy taste. Then we're going to flavour the 2. So you just use the back of the fork to mash it really well together. You don't want any lumps of butter or any separated sugar. You want it to all be one beautiful mixture. This is the stuff that I love to eat. Okay, so whisk that up. So this is how people make cheesecakes, by whisking up sugar and flavour with cream cheese. Right, so once you've got that combined, it shouldn't take too long. You're going to plop it into 2 bowls because I'm going to make 2 different fillings. So this one, the first one here, is going to be my mint. So go easy on, if you have mint flavouring, use that, but please just use a tiny drop. It's very strong. So you get this from cake shops, but you don't have to have that. What you could use is some crushed up peppermint crisp. Like a peppermint crisp bar could provide that minty flavour, but it is very, very minty. And that's plenty. Now the green colouring, which goes all over my fingers, I'll go a bit easy with that. It's quite vibrant. Okay, it comes out really fast. They really should put a smaller nozzle. Okay, so that's going to be the green filling. So because these are St. Patrick's Day biscuits, which has been and gone, I usually make just the green filling. Some people don't like mint. I don't know what's wrong with them. I love it, especially paired with dark chocolate. So you just need to mix that through until no lumps of butter and your colour is really smooth. So keep wiping off your fork and mixing that through. Okay, so your second filling, which you won't need this bowl because we only need 2 bowls and we've already got some in here. So in this one, I've got this strawberry and cream essence that I use to flavour biscuits. Now, you could use just some mashed up, oh that's my timer. Let's go and check those cookies. Holy moly, have they spread. Spread in one big biscuit. Alright. They were super spready. Okay, see how I said they were spready? Very spready. Okay, I could have even gone a bit less on the topping. So I'm going to leave those to cool down. They're going to be quite chewy. Now, if you want to increase the volume of the biscuit, you could increase slightly your flour. So the increase of the flour will make a more puffy biscuit. Because there's very little flour in these biscuits and mostly the sugar and the butter and chocolate will make it very spready and quite chewy. Now I'm going to take those off the tray before they're completely cool to make a more chewy biscuit. If you leave them on the tray too long, you'll get a very crispy biscuit. So, into this one. What I was saying about the strawberry essence is if you don't want to use strawberry essence and you'd prefer to use something natural, you can mash up some raspberries in a bowl and add them through. So maybe like a small handful or a couple of spoonfuls of raspberries really mashed with a fork will give you that colour and the flavour. So this one is my strawberries and cream essence going in there. It's about a teaspoonful. The pink colouring same like I said before, if you don't want to use this, just use some berries. Okay, that provides the colour. Mash that in with the fork really well. It's going to be quite a vibrant filling, this one. It smells gorgeous. So those are the two fillings ready for the cookies. Okay, I've got the mint and the strawberry. So back to the biscuits. I'm just going to take those off the tray very carefully, just with the paper, because what I don't want to happen is that they get too crunchy. I'm going to have to cut these ones up with scissors. They spread more than expected. Okay, now we all have mistakes in the kitchen. I'm going to show you some of mine. Attempt number 1. We call this one the crispy frisbee. Attempt number 2, turd. Now, attempt number 2 is going to have to happen. Now, I'll tell you what happened, I think, with attempt number 1. Cheap chocolate melts. Too much oil factor, spread my cookie. Attempt number 2, I decided I would put more flour in and some good quality dark chocolate, very expensive. Put that in, but too much flour, made them too dry. Attempt number 2 are the ones that I'm going to take to my brother's for dinner tonight. So, here's the filling. So know that everybody makes mistakes. Now, science is a big part of cooking. I'm not piping because I'm lazy. I'm going to wedge these together like this. There's a beautiful minty filling, and here's one, just some lovely strawberry filling. Okay, you can pipe these if you wish, but you will need to beat them really well to make sure that no lumps are in. So there's one with each. Put those there. Okay, so you can fill those well. Now, I think if I attempt to make these again, I will be using exactly the right amount and very good quality chocolate. So don't skimp on your chocolate and you should be right. I have made these many times before. They have never been a turd and they have never been a frisbee. So please feel free to send me your photos and I shall see how yours turn out. For me today, I've had enough of cooking and now I'm off to dinner.